What if your life wasn't something happening to you, but something happening through you? Every conversation, every problem, every coincidence, not random events, but reflections from a field that is quietly obeying the script you're writing in your mind. You might think reality is like a movie you're forced to watch, but what if it's more like a mirror that writes back? Every thought, every emotion, every hidden belief becomes ink on the surface of that mirror, shaping the next scene. For centuries, mystics whispered this secret. In the 1960 ES, a writer named Jane Roberts claimed she heard a voice, Seth, that explained it in terrifying clarity. But this idea isn't just spiritual poetry. Modern physics, neuroscience, and psychology are slowly circling the same truth. The observer doesn't just see reality, the observer creates it. Today, we begin where the illusion ends. The challenge, the invisible script you're reading from. You wake up each morning thinking your day is new. But most of what unfolds is old recycled patterns, familiar emotions, the same arguments, the same worries dressed in new clothes. It feels like choice, yet your reactions are automatic, your beliefs fossilized. That's because you're following a script you didn't write. It was handed to you line by line since childhood. Don't aim too high. Money is hard to earn. People can't change. Love always hurts. These phrases became psychic software. They run silently in the background, projecting the world you see. You don't notice them because they hide in plain sight as common sense. But here's the paradox. Nothing in your external world can violate your internal belief system. You cannot see what you refuse to believe. If you think love equals pain, every person who enters your life will somehow fulfill that role. If you think abundance is rare, you will unconsciously sabotage every opportunity that contradicts that belief. It's not punishment, it's precision. Reality isn't personal, it's reflective. The universe simply mirrors the tone of your inner conversation. The science behind the mirror. Quantum physicists call this the observer effect. Particles exist in multiple possibilities until they are observed. Observation collapses the wave into one visible outcome. Neuroscientists describe something similar. The human brain filters billions of bits of information per second, showing you only what matches your dominant beliefs and expectations. It's called selective perception. Psychologists see it too. The confirmation bias makes you notice evidence that supports your worldview and ignore what threatens it. So whether through wave functions, neural patterns, or emotional biases, one truth keeps echoing. You see what you believe, not what's there. And if that's true, then changing reality means changing the lens through which you see it. The emotion of creation. Most people try to change reality through thought affirmations, vision boards, planning. But thought without emotion is static. It's like writing wishes on water. Emotion is electricity. It charges your intentions with life. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your frequency. You felt it before. When you're deeply grateful, your day flows. When you're afraid, everything breaks. It's not coincidence, it's coherence. Heart math researchers found that emotional coherence, when your heart rhythm becomes smooth and harmonious, literally influences the electromagnetic field around you. That field extends several feet beyond your body and interacts with others. So when ancient teachers said, "As within, so without," they weren't being poetic. They were describing an energetic law. The trap fighting the screen. When something painful happens, a breakup, a loss, a failure, we instinctively rush to fix it. We try to rearrange the outer world like actors rewriting a play mid-performance. But here's the problem. The physical world is the screen, not the projector. You can't paint new colors onto the screen and expect the movie to change. You must change the film, reel your inner state, your beliefs, your focus. You might say, "But my circumstances are real." And you're right. They are real for now. but they're not permanent. They're snapshots of your previous vibration, echoes of your past state of being. The world you see is always a delayed reflection of who you were, not who you are becoming. This is why change feels slow. You've already sent energetic orders to the universe days, weeks, even years ago. The present is simply the invoice being delivered. If you want a new delivery, you must place a new order emotionally, mentally, energetically, and then wait for the next cycle of reflection. Patience isn't delay, it's gestation. The core practice, the blank slate moment. Every day, you have micro moments where reality loosens right before sleep, right after waking, or during deep relaxation. Neuroscientists call these the alpha-theta bridge. The logical mind relaxes, and your subconscious becomes impressionable. This is your editing room. Here's how to use it. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Erase your identity, labels your name, age, job, gender one by one, in your imagination until nothing remains. Feel the silence beneath all thought. That's the blank page where creation begins. From that stillness, whisper internally, if I could write myself new, who would I choose to be? Don't force an answer. Let the feeling arise naturally. It might come as an image, a word, a calm knowing. This simple daily ritual weakens your attachment to the old script and reconnects you with the raw power of consciousness before it became tangled in personality. The psychological reboot. There's a simple metaphor I use with students. Think of your mind like a phone filled with outdated apps. The system lags not because the phone is broken, but because the software is cluttered. You don't fix it by smashing the screen. You perform a factory reset. Every night before sleep, mentally log out of your identity. Forgive the day's mistakes. Thank yourself for surviving it. Imagine your entire belief system being refreshed. This clears the cache of emotional residue that subtly programs tomorrow. It's a small ritual with huge consequences. When you stop carrying yesterday's emotional baggage, tomorrow no longer needs to mirror it. The subtle addiction to limitation. There's something strange about humans. We say we want freedom, yet cling to the very chains that keep us safe. We identify with our wounds, our failures, even our fears. Because without them, who would we be? Freedom terrifies the ego because it means death of the familiar self. So we unconsciously recreate struggle because struggle gives us identity. That's why many people who heal their past end up repeating new versions of the same pain. The ego wants transformation to look dramatic, not quiet. It wants to be the hero fighting dragons, not the artist peacefully rewriting the script. But real transformation is subtle. It happens when you stop reacting, when you choose to observe instead of obey your emotions, when you realize you are not the character, you are the author. Bridging science and spirit. The placebo effect proves it. People given sugar pills heal from diseases simply because they believe they're receiving medicine. Doctors have measured tumors shrinking, pain disappearing, immune responses activating, all triggered by belief. That's not a fluke. It's a demonstration of reality's flexibility. If belief can alter biology, it can alter anything. The body is made of atoms. Atoms are made of energy. Energy responds to consciousness. The challenge is not learning how to manifest. The challenge is remembering you're doing it already unconsciously, every second. The task is to become conscious of what you're creating. The emotional compass. If thought is the map, emotion is the compass. Every emotion points to the direction your consciousness is flowing. Fear means contraction, you're moving away from your true self. Peace means expansion, you're aligned with it. Stop judging your emotions as good or bad. They're feedback, not flaws. They're the GPS of your inner universe, guiding you back toward coherence. So next time you feel anxiety or anger, don't suppress it. Don't drown in it either. Observe it as a messenger. Ask it gently, what am I believing right now that's creating this feeling? 9 times out of 10, the belief will be rooted in separation. I'm not enough. I'm unsafe. I'm alone. When you see it clearly, the belief dissolves. Light makes shadows disappear. The call to conscious creation. Reality bends to awareness, not willpower. You don't force the universe to change. You relax into your authorship. Think of a lucid dream. The moment you realize you're dreaming, the monsters stop chasing you. You can fly, shape landscapes, summon light. The dream didn't change, your awareness did. Waking life works the same way. Every time you catch yourself saying, "This is just how life is," stop. Ask, who told me that? Whose belief am I living? Society's? My parents, the systems? You'll find that 90% of your truths aren't yours. They're borrowed assumptions that built a world where limitation looks logical. To become conscious is to return those borrowed beliefs. The practice for today, the power anchor. Here's a simple, deceptively powerful technique. Throughout the day, whenever fear or anxiety pulls you into past or future, stop and say internally, "My point of power is now." Say it with presence, not repetition. Feel your awareness collapse from endless timelines into this moment, the only moment where creation exists. Do it enough, and your energy field begins to stabilize. You stop leaking power into regrets or worries. You become a focused beam rather than scattered light. That's how you reclaim authorship, one present moment at a time. The quiet miracle. When you begin living this way, subtle miracles start appearing. You'll think of a friend and they'll call. You'll need money and an unexpected opportunity will arise. You'll realize problems dissolve, not by solving them, but by outgrowing the version of you that attracted them. It feels supernatural at first, then it feels natural, because creation is your native language. You just forgot how to speak it. Tonight, before you sleep, review your day backward from this moment to the morning. If there's a scene that hurt, pause it. In your mind, rewrite it differently. Feel how you wish it had gone. Let the emotion of relief, forgiveness, or love wash through you until it feels more real than the memory itself. You've just rewritten your past, not by denial, but by reprogramming the energetic imprint it left in your present. Reality responds to that. You've seen the mirror. You've understood the projector. You've held the pen of authorship, even if for a moment. The question now isn't whether this works. It's whether you'll remember to use it. Because every day you forget, the old script resumes. So tonight, ask yourself gently, if my thoughts are the brush and my emotions the paint, what kind of world am I creating right now? When yesterday starts listening, you've been told that the past is a locked door. Dates on a calendar. Photos in a box. What if that door isn't locked at all? What if yesterday still listens when you speak to it? It sounds strange until you realize memory isn't a museum, it's a studio. Every time you recall a moment, your brain doesn't play back a file, it rebuilds it. That's not philosophy, it's how recollection works. Neuroscientist Karim Nader's work on memory reconsolidation showed that when you remember something, it becomes flexible for a short window, then saves again with your current emotions stitched in. So the past you carry isn't fixed, it's patched together by the present you. If that's true, you're not stuck with the old script. You can revise the emotional code of what happened, and, with it, the chain of choices that memory kept producing in your life. And that's only half the story. Because while you're adjusting the meaning of yesterday, there are other versions of you equally real in potential that already learned what you're still learning. Call them probable selves, parallel tracks, future templates. You don't need to debate the metaphysics to benefit from the practice. You can borrow their posture, their choices, their steady breath today. Let's step into the room where time softens, where your history becomes clay, and your future stops hiding behind excuses. The challenge, the gravity of old scenes. Certain scenes keep replaying, don't they? A harsh comment, that never left, a door you didn't open, a look you misread. You think you remember them because they mattered. In reality, they matter because you remember them with the same charge, the same angle, the same story. The nervous system tries to protect you by stamping never again on painful moments. Sensible but crude. It treats the entire landscape as dangerous just because the first road had potholes. So you grow careful. You avoid love because once it burned. You avoid risk because once it failed. You avoid your own voice because once it shook. That's not wisdom. That's a reflex, wearing a mask. Beneath the reflex sits an assumption. What happened is what must happen. You carry the past like weather, and then you call it climate. You feel small in rooms that look like rooms where you once felt small. You hesitate around people who sound like people who once laughed when you tried. The old scene becomes gravity, and you spend years orbiting it, too far to crash, too close to leave. Here's the paradox that breaks the orbit. The past is over, yet it keeps acting on you because you keep acting it out. Not because you want to, but because the nervous system prefers familiar pain to unfamiliar freedom. The old scene is predictable. Freedom is not. The body equates predictability with survival, so it clings. We're going to teach the body a new equation: safety equals presence, not repetition. The reframe time is a mood, not a prison. You've noticed it. 10 minutes in a dentist chair feel longer than an hour walking under trees. Children race through afternoons that adults can't find. Time stretches or shrinks, depending on attention. That tells you something simple and huge. Time behaves like a mood. If time is a mood, then your access to past and future is a felt pathway, not a physical tunnel. In quiet states, just before sleep, just after waking, during deep focus, you're closer to that path. The logical guard at the gate relaxes. In that softness, you can speak to your memories as you would to a child who was frightened. You can say, "I'm here now," and the scene will listen. The body will too. Psychology has language for this part's work: inner child dialogue, EMDR, Yuyi's bilateral stimulation, memory reconsolidation windows. Spiritual traditions speak of prayer, revision, blessing. Different maps, same terrain. A flexible nervous system meeting a flexible history. You don't need to pick a camp. You need a ritual that you'll actually use. The practice nightly revision without denial. You won't argue with the past. You'll sit with it until it changes shape. Here's how to work with a single day, then with a heavier era. Each night, close your eyes and glide backward through your day from now back to morning, scene by scene. When you reach a moment that stung, pause gently. Let the first version play for a few seconds without resisting it. Notice where it lands in your body, throat, chest, gut, jaw. Don't fix it. Name the sensation. Tight in chest. Heat in face. Heavy in stomach. Naming is air. It gives the fire somewhere to go. Then, still breathing, softly reshoot the scene in your mind. You don't have to make it perfect. Change a tone of voice, a sentence you spoke, the way you stood. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your eyes be steady. Hear yourself say the boundary you wanted to say. Hear the other person respond better than they did. Let it feel better than it was. Now the important part. Feel the preferred version, as if it left a trace in your nervous system. Not a fantasy you wish had happened, but a rehearsal that imprints a new pattern. Stay long enough for the body to exhale the old charge. When your breath deepens on its own, you're done. Save the new version. Move on through the rest of your day. People ask, "Isn't that lying to myself?" No, you're not rewriting facts. You're rewriting the feedback loop, those facts trained into your body. You're updating the code that kept spawning similar scenes. Courts keep records. Bodies keep patterns. You're changing the pattern. Do this for a week, and you'll notice sharp edges smoothing. Do it for a month, and you'll catch yourself behaving as if the better version had happened which is the point. You become the person who handled it well, and life starts handing you rooms that match. The deep work reseeding an era. Some memories are not a moment, they're a season. A house where you learn to be quiet, to stay safe. A school where you learn that mistakes are fatal. A relationship where your love was a bargain. You can't reshoot 1,000 days one by one. You bless the season in a single, focused sitting, not by pretending it was kind, but by giving your nervous system the missing experiences in concentrated form. Set aside an hour. Unplug. Place a hand on your chest and one on your belly. Breathe slow until your heart rate says, "I'm listening." Then let the whole era rise like a wide horizon. See a younger you standing on that horizon and walk toward them without rushing. Stop at the distance where they feel safe. Ask with your eyes if you may come closer. If you sense no, wait. If you sense yes, step close enough to feel their breath. Tell them 3 things, I hear you. It wasn't your fault. I'm here now. Don't lecture. Don't therapize. Offer presence, then offer a doorway. Would you like to see how our life feels when this fear isn't steering? If you feel a small nod inside, show them one day from your present where you spoke up or rested or asked for what you needed. Let them watch through your eyes. Then ask what they want to try. Maybe they want to run. Maybe they want to sing badly and loud. Maybe they want to sit in quiet and eat something warm. Let it be simple and real. When the body sighs, the unmistakable melt, you're done. What did you change? Not the events. The conclusion those events wrote. You just swapped. The world is unsafe, and I must shrink, for I am safe with myself, and I can choose. Different conclusion, different biology, different days ahead. The bridge meeting the you who already knows. Now to the part that sounds like fiction until it feels like oxygen. There is a version of you who already lives the qualities you keep postponing. Not a superhero, just you, unburdened by 1 or 2 sticky fears. You can meet them. And when you meet them, something subtle and strong crosses the bridge: posture, timing, tone, patience. It shows up the next day in your mouth and hands. Skeptical? Good. Keep your skepticism, but run the experiment. Because whether you explain it as parallel lines of probability or as future self-visualization, the effect is practical. You borrow a stable pattern and rehearse it until it becomes yours. Here's the simplest way to meet them. Before sleep, lie on your side as if you're curling into a trusted friend. Breathe until your attention floats. Whisper inward, "Show me the me who already breathes like this when life gets loud." Don't force an image. Wait for a sense. It might be a scene, a kitchen with morning light, an office with plants and an open window, a bus seat and a quiet smile. Notice how this version stands up, how they answer a text, how they say no like it's water, not war. Ask for 1 sentence of advice, but insist on plain words. No grand slogans. Something like, pause twice before you reply, or leave 10 minutes earlier, or eat before the meeting. Small things that shift the day. The next morning, commit to acting on that 1 sentence regardless of mood. Watch what follows. Often, it's not fireworks, it's timing. You arrive when ease arrives. You reply when drama would have hooked you. You leave when your energy was about to be pawned. Grace looks like good timing from the outside. From the inside, it looks like listening. Repeat this for a week. If nothing changes, fine, you tested it. If everything softens by 10%, you found a lever. The download training your night to work for you. Your sleep is a workshop, whether you use it or not. Dreams chew on your days and spit out symbolism. Most people shrug and scroll. You're going to harvest the data. Keep a pen by the bed. Before sleep, write 1 short line. Tonight, show me how the calmer me handles stress at 4 p.m. Keep it that specific. Vague requests yield vague scenes. Then sleep without strain. In the morning, Write the first fragments you remember. Even nonsense helps. It's how the mind speaks while the guard is off duty. You'll notice patterns. Maybe doors keep appearing. Maybe you're always late, then magically on time. Maybe strangers hand you objects you never knew you needed. Translate them gently. Doors are choices. Late means you're overfilling your mornings. Objects are resources you pretend you don't have. Don't turn this into a puzzle hunt. Let it become a playful dialogue. Each night you ask, each morning you answer yourself. Over a month, this conversation becomes steady. You gain a talent that looks like intuition because it is the everyday kind. Call it your inner weather report. Use it. The body where time finishes its work. Rewriting scenes and meeting future you means very little if the body doesn't feel the shift. The mouth can recite new lines while the spine still expects a blow. So we include the body, not as an afterthought, but as the stage where change becomes visible. Each time you revise a moment, finish with a posture cue. Stand the way the revised you would stand. If the new version said, "I'll think about it," and get back to you, let your shoulders hang instead of lifting toward your ears. If the new version left a room instead of staying to argue, practice turning and walking 3 steps with a soft jaw. This looks silly. It works. Posture isn't decoration, it's memory foam. It teaches the nervous system, we survived. We chose. We're safe. Scientists like Amy Cuddy made the case that posture influences hormone levels and mood. Debate the details if you like. Try the practice anyway. The body answers to simple signals. When you sit like someone who is allowed to breathe, your breath listens. When you breathe, your decisions improve. When your decisions improve, fate gets kinder. The crossfade letting probable futures replace old defaults. There's a moment when the old and the new overlap. The old reaction still knocks, but the new one answers the door. That's the crossfade, a soft transition instead of a dramatic break. You'll know you're in it when the same kind of problem shows up and you forget to suffer in the old way. You'll start hearing yourself say things your calmer self would say, not as performance, but as habit. You'll leave 5 minutes earlier without making a resolution. You'll drink water before the meeting without announcing a health journey. You'll call your mother and hang up while love is still in your voice. You won't post about any of it. The new timeline doesn't ask for applause. Crossfades can feel boring after the fireworks of crisis. That boredom is peace learning to wear your clothes. Let it. The hurdles, when the old scene fights back. Sometimes, revision triggers a pushback. You sleep after a beautiful rewrite and wake up irritated. Or you meet future you and the next day is full of small snares. Nothing's wrong. The nervous system is simply testing the new pattern, asking, "Are we sure?" It throws you little quizzes, not to punish you, but to confirm the route. Treat pushback like weather. Don't personalize it. Don't dramatize it. Hold to your sentence from the night before. Pause twice before replying. Leave 10 minutes earlier. Eat before the meeting. Meanwhile, keep attending to your breath like it's your paycheck. Short exhales keep you in yesterday. Long exhales let today finish writing itself. If a day truly spins, do not rebuild Rome. Go small. Drink a glass of water. Walk outside for 3 minutes. Place a palm over your heart until you feel the rhythm smooth. Simple acts remind the body, we're back here, in the room where choices are. The strange gift, letting the past help someone else. There's one more step, many skip. When a heavy scene finally loses its teeth, don't just move on. Send the kindness backward to the you who carried it and forward to someone else who still does. Not by preaching at them, by becoming the kind of person whose presence in a room softens the air. That's not mystical. People co-regulate each other's nervous systems all day long. The steadier your breath, the safer other bodies feel without knowing why. Safety lets them think. Thinking lets them choose. Choice unsticks time. So your private revision becomes public mercy. No hashtags, no speeches, just steadiness, shared. The mechanics bench putting it together in one day. Here's a day that uses everything you've learned without turning your life into a workshop. You wake. Before touching your phone, you spend 60 seconds with your breath. One hand on chest, one on belly. You quietly ask, how would the calmer me stand up from this bed? Then you do exactly that. At lunch, you take 3 minutes alone. You ask for one line from the you who already does afternoons well. You write it down. You treat it as a promise. In the late afternoon, you notice the same old tightness starting. Instead of chasing it, you whisper, my point of power is now. Not dramatic, simple. You adjust your posture. You take 12 slow breaths, longer on the exhale. The next choice arrives with less static. At night, you move backward through your day and revise one scene that stung, replacing the body's flinch with a body that breathes. You sleep after making a short request to your night. Show me one tiny thing to do tomorrow that keeps this ease. You repeat for 7 days. No grand claims. No mystical branding. Just a human being treating time like clay instead of concrete. The week doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like doors that used to stick beginning to move on their hinges. The quiet proof when others notice before you do. Real change is often reported by witnesses. A friend will say, you pause before you answer now. A partner will say, you're not trying to win every point. A co-worker will say, you don't look drained at 5 p.m. Believe them. They can see the crossfade from the outside before you feel it inside. Let their noticing be your new mirror, not for vanity, but for calibration. It tells you the revision has left your head and entered your hands. The core choose which you comes with you. You don't have to argue with multiverse theories to try this. You don't have to write essays about consciousness. You can be as practical as a carpenter. Which version of me is most useful tomorrow morning? The one who starts slow and finishes steady? The one who replies after a walk? The one who breathes before send? Choose that person tonight. Ask to meet them in that drifting edge before sleep. Borrow one sentence. Carry it into breakfast. Let it shape your posture, your pacing, your tone. And when the old scene calls you back, don't fight. Just say, we're going a different way, and let your feet prove it. A blessing for the hour behind you. Before you close your eyes tonight, place a hand on your heart and say something simple to the hour that hurt. I won't abandon you to the version of me who didn't know how. I know how now. Feel the temperature of your palm seep in, the way heat softens wax. That's the past, agreeing to be softer. That's your body signing the new contract. Tomorrow doesn't need a hero. It needs the you who remembers to pause, to breathe, to choose the sentence you ask for in the dark. You've learned to let yesterday listen and to let tomorrow help. That's not magic. That's maturity wearing comfortable shoes. Now ask yourself gently and honestly. Tonight, which version of me will I invite to cross the bridge? And what is the one small sentence they'll hand me for morning? Where the script ends and silence begins. You've spent 2 parts learning how the movie plays, how the reel can be swapped, how yesterday can be rewritten and tomorrow invited. But there's still one question humming under all the techniques. Who is watching the movie? Every method, every exercise, every visualization works only because something behind the mind can watch without getting trapped. That silent witness, the presence you notice right before sleep, right after a deep breath, or in the pause after laughter, is not a character. It's the screen itself. And when the screen remembers, it's not the scene. Reality begins to cooperate in ways that logic calls coincidence. The hidden mechanism attention as currency. Where attention goes, energy flows. That sentence has been repeated so often, it sounds like wallpaper. But think of it literally. Each second you spend thinking about fear, you invest energy into keeping fear alive. Each second you spend admiring calm, you finance calm's expansion. The brain's reticular activating system, the filter that decides what you notice, is trained by repetition. Feed it evidence of struggle, it will serve you more. Feed it evidence of quiet progress, it will highlight that instead. This isn't positive thinking, it's neurology doing its job. You are funding realities through focus. So the simple practice becomes sacred. Spend your attention like gold. Before touching your phone, check what headline your inner voice is scrolling. Nothing works? I'm late again? Something good might happen? Each of these sentences is an investment strategy. Ask yourself, do I want more of this thought tomorrow? If not, stop spending on it. The subtle war, the system that feeds on your focus. There's a reason distraction feels addictive. Every notification, every outrage, every algorithmic loop is designed to hijack the currency of attention. The more scattered your focus, the weaker your creative field. Think of consciousness like sunlight through a magnifying glass. Diffused, it warms; concentrated, it burns patterns into matter. The system: economic, digital, cultural profits. When you forget that, because a scattered mind buys solutions it could have imagined on its own. So when you sit for 5 quiet minutes without input, you're not being lazy. You're staging a quiet rebellion. You're taking your energy off the market. You're reminding reality who the shareholder is. The practical shift: 3 anchors to reclaim now. The breath checkpoint several times a day. Stop mid-sentence and watch one full inhale and exhale. You'll feel a small click, awareness stepping out of automation. That click is worth more than hours of forced meditation. The gaze reset when screens blur your focus. Look far away, then near, then far again. It resets the optic muscles and symbolically reminds you that perspective is physical. The sound thread: close your eyes for 10 seconds and notice the faint hum underneath all noise: fridge, wind, blood in ears. That hum is the same in every room, a constant background tone. Listen until the mind quiets. That's the vibration of presence, the inner sound mystics described. These tiny anchors don't add anything new, they remove the trance. The paradox: surrender as command. Creation isn't force, it's permission. You've been trained to make things happen, but forcing is the ego's imitation of creation. True command feels like surrender, not to fate, but to alignment. Think of a surfer. They don't push the ocean, they read it. They paddle only enough to meet the wave at the right angle, then let physics do the rest. The universe works the same way. Once you've tuned to the feeling of what you choose, let the current carry you. Surrender isn't giving up, it's getting out of the way. When you stop micromanaging outcomes, space opens for improbable timing. Emails arrive, ideas land. Strangers echo words you wrote in your journal. That's not magic, it's a synchronized field responding to a coherent signal. The experiment: 1 week of living in now. Try this simple structure. Morning, before rising, whisper internally: today, I meet everything as the author, not the character. Feel what that means. You don't brace for the day, you choose it. Afternoon, set 2 alarms labeled check the script. When they ring, pause and ask, what story am I telling myself this hour? Change it if needed. Evening, during your revision practice, add 1 line. I release control of how. I return to now. After 7 days, notice how much quieter your nervous system feels. You'll find decisions arriving without debate. That's the body trusting its director again. The observer and the observed. Physicists found that the act of observing changes the behavior of subatomic particles. Mystics said the same centuries ago, using different language. The seer and the seen are one. Try this micro exercise. Right now, look at your hand. Move your fingers. Notice the movement. and also the awareness noticing it. Are they separate? Or is it one continuous loop awareness, watching itself move as form? That tiny observation is the blueprint of creation. Consciousness becomes object, observes itself, and remembers it was never divided. Hold that awareness for 30 seconds daily. It rewires the relationship between you and matter. The world starts responding less like a battlefield, more like a conversation. The physics of faith. Faith isn't blind belief, it's sustained coherence. When you keep holding a chosen state despite lack of evidence, you're stabilizing a frequency long enough for matter to organize around it. That's what engineers call resonance. Every structure vibrates at a natural frequency. Strike a tuning fork beside a piano string of the same tone, and the string hums without touch. Conscious intention works the same way. When your inner frequency matches the pattern of what you desire, reality hums in sympathy. Not because it likes you, but because physics demands coherence. So faith is simply the decision to stay in tune longer than doubt. The emotion of trust. Notice that when you truly trust something, a friend, a chair, a bridge, your body relaxes. Shoulders drop, breath slows. That relaxation is the signature of creation fulfilled. The body only relaxes when it believes the outcome is safe. So the secret isn't convincing the universe, it's convincing your nervous system. Repeat to yourself, not as a mantra, but as a reassurance. It's safe to receive good things. You'll feel silly at first. Then you'll notice coincidences accumulating like small coins in a jar. The quiet work turning everyday tasks into portals. The kitchen, the commute, the inbox, all invitations to remember. Wash dishes feeling the warmth of water as proof that you're inside a living field. Drive noticing how traffic flows when you breathe slower. Type emails as if your words ripple outward because they do. You don't need incense or mantras. You need continuity. Every ordinary act done with full presence becomes a signature telling the field, I'm awake while doing this. Do that often enough, and reality starts treating you differently, not because it changes, but because you're finally home while it happens. The integration, 3 voices within. By now you've met 3 layers of yourself. The character, the reactive mind-body, built from memory. The editor, the conscious chooser who revises and directs. The witness, the silent field that never changes. Healing happens when the 3 cooperate. The character lives, the editor chooses, the witness watches. When the character tries to edit, life feels heavy. When the editor forgets the witness, life feels frantic. When the witness sleeps, life feels random. Keep them in dialogue. When something stings, let the character feel, the editor learn, the witness watch. No war between them, just conversation. The return to simplicity. After all these protocols, you may realize the most radical act is to breathe and notice. Every philosophy eventually points back to simplicity, because simplicity is the shape of truth. Once decoration burns away. Sit by a window. Watch light move across the wall. That's reality rewriting itself, moment by moment, without resistance. Let that be your teacher. If you can sit in stillness for 2 minutes without checking the time, you've already done what sages describe in 100 books. The proof of mastery. Mastery isn't a state when nothing disturbs you. It's when disturbance no longer dictates your next move. The storm still happens. You just stop forgetting who holds the pen. Watch someone who's truly present, a musician lost in sound, a surgeon mid-operation, a child building a fort. Their body and attention are one movement. That's mastery, not as status, but as natural coherence. You can live your whole life that way, writing emails, cooking, comforting, laughing fully inside each act. That's when the extraordinary hides inside the ordinary and no longer needs to announce itself. The final practice, dialogue with Source. Once a day, preferably at dawn or before sleep. Hold a brief conversation with the intelligence that breathes you. Speak aloud or inwardly. I'm listening. Show me what my next right step is. Then stop speaking. Wait for the smallest nudge, a picture, a phrase, a physical pull. It may arrive instantly or during the next mundane moment. When it does, act on it within 24 hours. Why? Because inspiration unacted upon decays into doubt. This is how intuition becomes navigation instead of noise. Decoded graduation without trumpet. No lightning bolt marks awakening. It's quieter than that. You'll notice it when guilt feels unnecessary, when time feels elastic, when gratitude appears before the reason. You'll catch yourself smiling in rooms that used to tighten your chest. That's not miracle. That's ownership. And the universe, having received the memo that the author has returned to the chair, begins to print new pages accordingly. You've reached the edge of the script. Everything beyond this point, you must write in real time. When you wake tomorrow, before words begin, feel the simple fact of being aware. That feeling, not thoughts, not plans, is your access key to the infinite now. From there, build your day like an artist laying color on fresh canvas. Mistakes become texture, pauses become depth, and every line, even the uncertain ones, belong. Ask yourself tonight, quietly, if I remember that the pen has always been in my hand, what story will I choose to write tomorrow?